car to the mechanics. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but we got to get it to the mechanics before I start pushing. I mean, not that it's a bad thing, because then I just chuck it in neutral, take the handbrake off, and we got a sled, so it's fine. But yeah, it's
that is something I absolutely need to take my car to the mechanic. I think I've needed an oil change for like a month and a half or 2 months now, probably.
I've had since I bought the car, I've had the one little triangle light with the there's the exclamation mark in it, which has been on for about since I bought the car. It's been on, but it's just telling me the lights need to be changed and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, right, we'll do that now. But yeah, I just had to get it done, because then there was another thing that went wrong and another thing that went wrong. I'm like, okay, now it's time to actually get going. But speaking of sleds with cars, have you seen Sled Connect on Instagram? They got if you got a tow bar, you put the sled on the handles on the back of the car. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool thing. I mean, you can kind of it makes it a little bit more comfortable, I would imagine, than just pushing the car normally.
Mm.
But I don't know. It's not. Well, first of all, my car doesn't have a trailer attachment, so I couldn't do it like that. But it's also, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the pushing the car stuff.
Well, you need two people.
If I don't have an actual sled, I'm just not going to sled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you big on the banded stuff? Would you consider doing, especially if it's reverse sled, would you consider doing banded sled, as in wrapping it to an immovable object, pulling it back, and then slowly coming in? At least you're getting a bit of stimulus with it.
Yeah. Oh, I would. If I don't have an actual sled, I'd rather do the banded sled work than push a car. If you have to have another person either way. I'd rather just do the bands than get out and push the car. I'd also rather than push a car on the road, just push a normal sled on the road. You know?
Mm. Yeah.
Well, that's just me. I spent a lot of time pushing a sled on an asphalt road, and it's not that bad.
Yeah. That says a lot for you. I mean, you and bands, you're not always seeing eye to eye, are you?
I love bands, but I also hate bands for some things. If you're using bands for accommodating resistance or overspeed eccentrics, awesome. Love bands. If you're using them for sleds, awesome. If you're doing them for clamshells and these stupid little hip flexor raises, I would be happy just to walk up with a pair of scissors and just snip it. While you're in the middle of a hip flexor raise, I'll just no more of that.
I with range training man Yorgos, he's been talking a lot with me about the band stuff that he's been doing. We've spoken about this previously on some of the podcasts as well, but just to have a deeper dive into the banded work that he does in terms of the different range training that he does. There's so much more that you can tap into with banded work. And I think people just think, especially footballers, I know, and I'm sure you know as well, since being in that professional or semi-pro environment, it's make sure you do your glute work, make sure you do your clams, make sure you do your, the other one, which is the standing, I don't know what they're called, standing abductions or whatever, straight leg abductions, back behind, out in front, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we forward, side, and back.
Yeah. And then there's the glute bridge ones as well. Make sure you got the band wrapped around your knees and do your glute bridges and all that kind of stuff. And it's that is so pointless, so pointless, because you are literally missing out on some of the. I don't think there's been anyone when I've played soccer who has torn their glute muscle or who has strained their glute muscle. I've seen a bucket load of hamstrings, a bucket load of quads, and an absolute bucket load of calves. It's where are you focusing your attention? If you're doing any pre-activation at all, where are you focusing your attention on? And there's so many different ranges, especially understanding range training now, where it's you have so many other things that you can focus on and work on in different ranges, where you can actually prepare the body in a way to work out or to train or to play a game. And it's just well, why are we still stuck in this dinosaur age of make sure we foam roll and make sure we do our glute stuff, and I get it. I understand that sometimes it comes down to the actual coach's who are running training sessions who think that this is like the best thing to do for my players, because I see it, I hear it, I do it. Like, that's the way it is. But it's so far, in my opinion, it's so far from the truth. So, because there's so many different things that you're missing out on. I've seen it, like, since working with Metro Stars, being in the setup for 13 weeks of preseason. We've had there's been five players who have either come back from injury or who have had an injury previously that have been like in the 13 weeks. One was hamstring tightness. The other one had massive calf issues before he even arrived at the club. And the guy's calves are like this, like there is nothing there. So there's a big reason why you're getting calf issues. The other one was an ankle like roll and ankle sprain. And then the other two came back from osteitis pubis. Apart from that, we had round one on the weekend. We had a full list by one player who had previous injuries to choose from. The coach had pretty much everyone to choose from, which is a massive headache for any coach, because you've got 21 fit players that want to play ready for round one. What do you do? Like, it's great. It's great to have that, but you don't have, you have the headache now of like, crap, who do I choose? But it's like a luxury. Like, you want to have that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I remember there was a period of a couple weeks that we had that our coach brought in like the bands. We would do them every day before training, and coincidentally, well, probably not coincidentally, but there were so many soft tissue injuries during that period that they scrapped them. Like, just because the number of groin, hamstring, hip flexor, all of those things that started happening was sky high. They're like, no more band drills. And having like jump roping before practice too, no more jump roping. People get calf problems. Like, just, we were all like, thank God, this sucks. Like, nobody wanted to do it, and have more injuries like that. It was like, get rid of it. But the interesting thing with the bands is that it doesn't work for everything. Like, if we're talking about like the accommodating resistance sort of, like it really only works for extension exercises in terms of accommodating resistance or assistance. Like, help bands for pull-ups, bad. Like, the force curve is wrong. Bands for hamstring curls, wrong. Opposite force curve. Tricep extensions, great. Bicep curls, not really. So I see a lot of people using bands for all these things, and it was like, you're working everything backwards there, buddy. Like, it works great for a deadlift because of the hip extension, great for squats, hip knee extension, but like it doesn't work the same way. It's wrong for hip flexors, it's wrong for knee flexion, it's wrong for the tibs. You can, if you manipulate how you are with gravity, then you can sort of make it work sometimes. But like, that's one of the things I see all the time. Like, what are people doing here? Do you just not understand force curves, or like just don't care? I don't know. It's interesting.
I think that when and this is what I understand, or what I have understood from Yorgos, is like in terms of range, and like you said, when you understand gravity, but then you also understand where the insertion, and like the origin insertion of the muscle and the tissue is in relation to where the tension is pulling you back. So, for example, like when we're doing bicep curls, if we're getting into like that short range muscle bicep curl, we're shortening that area or that region of the bicep, so it's heavily focused on the muscle. If we're doing banded stuff, as an example, then you've got that mid range, then you've got that long range, and then you've got that extreme kind of long range. And it depends on where, like you said, it's important to understand where the band and the tension is, because if you're just doing bicep curls, like it's backward and it's not necessarily going to give you the best feedback. But if you can understand where the tension is, how to target different, not necessarily different tissue, but different tension for the different tissue, I think you're going to be able to tap into a lot more. I've noticed some big improvements with my own training and my own performance as well, in terms of like the weight that I can lift based upon like the range that I now have, because I've been able to change where the tension is in terms of like where the band is and where the band's pulling back from me or towards the wall, or pulling like the tension is on my arms for bicep curls, for example. it just gives me that different stimulus, which I hadn't experienced before. And especially if you struggle to lift weight in those positions. So like, the long range stuff is really, really cool because you can, or personally, you can load that area up because it's a band, it's tension, it's not heavy. You can use one of these little kind of thin yellow ones and still get that same kind of feedback. Not the same, similar feedback to what a dumbbell is or what it feels like to be in that extremely extended or long range position. But it's still never going to be dumbbells. Like it won't be, I'm not saying to change the exercise for dumbbells or like change it and not do dumbbells at all, but having something that actually allows you to get into that position and experience that position at a significantly lower tension. I think it gives you an experience that you otherwise couldn't experience. Like dropping your hands out to the side, sure, that does something, but you're not loading it up with anything. It's just your hands there. Like you can actually get into something that gives you a little bit of feedback, a little bit of tension. I quite like it. I think it's quite good.
Yeah, like if you want to load it backwards, like there's reasons to load it back. So like if you're doing like it's almost like Keegan called it the Smith curl, but that's when you're laying over the top of the bench. If you're doing like an incline curl, but instead of a hammer, your chest up and rotate your shoulders out, externally rotate the shoulders. And some people are going to have so much tightness in the problem here that they're not going to be able to load that bottom position. I did them last week with real light dumbbells and like real light. They were like, it was like 30 or 35 or something. And it was like, oh my God, my bicep is going to pull off my shoulder and my shoulder is going to pull off my pec. Like it's really, really brutal. And I'm still sore from it a little bit. But if you use bands in that position, the real stretch, the hard part is not going to be that hard, but you can still get it. So you're like, this position is going to work really hard. And here you're still in the position and you're working a little bit. So I mean, you're absolutely right there that there's times to load it backwards. But when people are like, if you know what you're doing, it's perfectly fine. But if you're just like, yep, just use bands, like it's cool. You don't need, like, shut up.
You see they're walking down the road with the bands wrapped around their legs, just doing their diagonal steps forwards and their diagonal steps back. And I still think that there is a small place, even if it is mental for a footballer that they want to do it because they feel good afterwards. Well, okay, go ahead and do it. But that should not be your whole pre-activation, if we're going to call it that, whole pre-act for your session. It should not be that. Just focus on your hips and your glutes. Like that's it. No, there's so much else.
Yeah. And there's also always a small place for it in kind of like the physical therapy rehab space. Like if that's all you do for your hip and kind of glute and whatever rehab, then there's a problem. But if you had a hamstring strain for a while and you haven't been able to work the hips like that, and then maybe you're a physical therapist and you're like, yeah, let's do a little bit of those before you can't get into squats. I don't know. I'm not a physical therapist, so I don't know the exact applications there, but it's not that there's almost nothing has absolutely no application ever. Like, is a standing mini band hip flexor raise better than a reverse squat or a single leg cable hip flexor or even a monkey foot? No, never. It never is. But is it better than like not doing anything? It's probably not better than an L sit either, to be fair, or a hanging leg raise. It's very now that the more I think about it, the less application it does have. But it's not nothing. Like it sucks pretty bad, but it's like it's better than nothing. So it's just the way it is. There's always a little bit of room for everything. Some things have a ton of room, some things have little. It's always a spectrum.
I think I do agree with that, and I think that it's just dependent on where you're focusing your attention. Like you can have that as something to use, and if you don't have, like you said, if you don't have access to cable machine, if you don't have access to a monkey foot or a triflexor or iron shin, if you don't have access to, I think that's pretty much it. Like that is probably going to be your next. Well, and if you don't know if you can't do L sits for whatever reason, well then okay, sure. And you want a little bit of tension, you want a little bit more instead of just having that feeling of the L sit. You want to get into a little bit more of knee flexion as well and everything like that, then sure, like I think that there is a small place for it, because at least you're targeting the tissue in a way that's different from all those other ways that you wouldn't be able to do. Like the L-sit, in terms of tension comparatively to like a banded raise, even if you're doing like, I love doing them lying down for just a little bit of blood flow. You get, you wrap it around the band, you wrap the band around like a pole, and you lift your knee up as in like you're lying down on the floor, because you're getting a little bit more range. It is almost like a cable, the cable reverse squat, because you're getting yourself into that position. It's not like the standing ones that are moving up and down. Like you're doing something that's a little bit, it replicates the cable side of things, not the other standing ones. I prefer to do them because it gives you a nice pump in your lower abs and through your hip flexors. And if you don't have access to anything like that, then okay, you can get into the skinny band and moving up and down and whatnot. But it is a little bit of like I said, it's probably better if you did the L-sits rather than the banded stuff. I agree with that.
Yeah, and I mean the way you're talking about using bands is far better than the standing way too. I mean, it's like there's literally no tension at the bottom of a standing hip flexor. I hate those so much. Like I hate to say I hate an exercise, but I hate the standing hip flexor raises just because everything's so wrong about it. There's literally no tension at the bottom. You're not working your hip flexor through the full range. You're unnecessarily probably not even hard enough working at the top. Nope. Like at least when you're doing a band and you're laying on your back, like you're probably just focusing more on the lower ab than the actual hip flexor then. So it's like it's then you're just targeting something different, but at least you're working through the majority of that full, like you're working through the full range of your lower abs. Maybe you're not getting the hip flexor, but you could pair that with like a standing, and you let your leg come back and you pull it through. And if you want more hip flexor and less lower ab, there's always ways to get around these things. But it's I don't know. The bands are best used for accommodating resistance in my mind.
We've really struck a nerve here with you, haven't we? I've wanted to do this for a while, like really just poke the bear, poke the bear, and see what he. This is
it's
what
just
I really
a standing hip flexor raises.
For those who can't see, I've just chucked in a fishing line. Speaking of fish, what'd you think of the little cook up I had the other day? Put a little post out there on Instagram. Thought I'd share it with the world.
Looked unbelievable. What was it? Snapper or what was it?
So at the moment we have in South Australia we have a snapper ban, which has been 3 years, 3.5 years. So from overfishing, I think that's what it is. However, I went on a fishing charter a couple of weeks ago, and we went out. You're not allowed to catch snapper. Like there is some serious fines if you catch snapper, and bring it back with you. But sometimes you can't help but catch snapper because the tools that they have on the boat, they're not like that good that they can pinpoint and be like, that is that type of fish. So when we're over the top of a school of fish, like they can see that through, like I think it's like they've got the almost like a heat map almost underneath, and you can see what's down there. So we dropped down, and mind you, I was violently ill for the whole 5.5 hours that I was out there. It was not good, but we'll leave that for later on. And we're over the top of this school of snapper, and I'm talking like every single person. So 12 people on the boat, every single person would put rod in, bang, pull one up, rod in, bang, pull one up. And we just had to put them straight back. Like we couldn't keep them. You couldn't hold on to them. You had to just take them off the hook, throw them straight back in, which does suck because sometimes like when the fish come up from the bottom, because we were fishing at like 80-meter depths, when the fish come up from the bottom, sometimes that air bladder inside of them, it pops or it expands, and then they don't drop down to the bottom of the ocean. They end up dying. So I wouldn't say that would happen with all the fish. Anyway, long story short, we caught something like 30 to 35 snapper and had to throw them all back. Whereas the nanny guy, which is kind of like a red snapper, you could catch those ones. So we got to keep them. So we ended up we ended up catching probably 60, 70 fish between the 12 of us, but only got to keep, I think it was like 30 something, 32, 30, 33 maybe, which is a bit sucky. Like, I mean, it's okay. Like, it was great fun when we actually could catch fish, and it was great fun for me when I could actually fish, because, like, man, it was, if you get seasick, or if you know anyone that gets seasick and you're listening to this podcast, you know how much it sucks. And like, so we got out, we left at 7:30 from where the boat was docked, straight out. Like, we were traveling for about an hour and 15, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. Got out there. When we got there, there was heaps of boats fishing there. And so he's like, right, we're going to go another half an hour. And I'm like, no, we don't. we don't. And we ended up going another half an hour. I'm sitting there just rocking from side to side. And I knew it was coming. And as soon as we stopped, bang, that was it. Didn't eat anything in the morning, so I had nothing to chuck up. But for 5 hours straight, it was just dry reaching. And like, I was fishing, so I would put my rod over and I would start fishing, would dry reach, partially chuck up, and then we'd go back to fishing, catch a fish, pull it over, and then do it again. And it was just like, I'm not coming all the way out here just to not catch anything. But it was horrible.
Jesus, man. You were kind of like, it was almost like you were like chumming the water there.
Yeah.
You were just doing it.
They were loving it. Everyone's like, yeah, more. What do I call it? More burley. Woo! They're like, oh, thanks, guys. But there was nothing coming up, so it wasn't like I was doing anything. I slept for an hour as well. I fished for a total of 30 minutes and caught 3 fish. I've got good odds when it comes to fishing. I'm a pretty lucky fisherman. And like, I always jag something. No matter what it is, I always jag it. And that's not me, like, it always happens, always. So that's why I keep saying it. And I always manage to jag something. So, and I did. So I managed to catch something. So for every fish I caught, I threw up 5 times. That's just do the maths. I caught 3 fish. That's how many times I threw up. Sorry for the graphics for everyone listening.
You caught 3 fish you got to keep, or you caught 3 fish total?
I caught 1 fish I got to keep, and then 2 that I had to throw back.
Gotcha.
Mm. Yeah. Are you a fisherman?
I like it. I don't go very often. I couldn't tell you the last time I went fishing. It was probably, I don't know. It might have been, I went fishing. My great aunt and uncle live in Alaska, up basically in Canada. And you can go fishing for salmon there. And we went fishing for salmon and caught 0 salmon, saw a couple of whales, and went home empty-handed. And that might have been the last time I've gone fishing.
Mm.
Then that would have been probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We do it, I mean, probably maybe 1 to 3 times a year, depending on, and I mean, when you get weather like this, is pretty good. Like, you can sit out on the jetty or the pier, whatever you guys call it, or you go out on a boat if you don't get seasick, and you sit there and you kind of just like, this is really, really nice. Like, it's not about it is about catching the fish, but it's not about catching the fish as well, because you can just sit there, chill out and relax,
Yeah, we used to fish a lot up at my grandparents'. They have like a creek close to their house, and they live in the middle of like farmland. So there's like a creek that you could go fish in, and we just catch like little, they call them bullheads. They're like stupid little catfish things. But I mean, only like not even a foot long. You just catch them and you throw them back. Or one time we caught them all and we brought them back to the house and put them in a big, like, one of the big plastic feed bins for the cattle. And obviously the cow didn't let the cows eat them, but like put them in there, and we were like, all right, we'll do something with them in the morning. We came back. There were probably 30 or 40 fish in there. We came back and the raccoons had eaten every single one of them through the night. So these raccoons were fishing at night. We didn't see them, but I assume they just came up and they would just like grab the fish and go run with it. and we never saw any of the fish again. It was the craziest thing.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I do like fishing. It's not great fishing here.
When you come down under, we'll take you for a fish. All right, we'll take you for a fish. So then that way you can catch some good stuff. None of this little piddly stuff.
I know. We went deep sea fishing one time in Florida. We caught some stuff. I think it was like mainly snapper, and we caught a lot of those like sucky fish that like stick to the bottom of sharks. Caught a whole bunch of those and like some snapper and a couple other things, but I don't know. You didn't catch any crocodiles or anything while you were down there?
No, mate, no crocodiles out that far. One guy had a gummy shark on his line, which it was a pretty big shark, but then it let go and it went off. But by big shark, I don't mean like 4 or 5 meters, but like probably about a meter and a half, which is, I don't know, if you were to stand up, roughly up to your waist, maybe a little bit higher. So pretty decent size fish. It's enjoyable, man. I think that there's a lot of time. I got a lot of time for it, and it's actually enjoyable. Like you have so much fun when you're out there. People are like, oh, I hate fishing because you just sit out there and you do nothing. It's like, well, most of the times you're not actually really going to fish, although it would be nice to catch something. It's just good just to let the mind sort of settle down a little bit.
Yeah, we were in Aruba this last week because my girlfriend's parents have a timeshare thing they own there, and it was like my favorite thing to do there is just snorkeling. So I just they sit on the beach and I just put on my little snorkel gear and I just follow all the fish around and just like swim out around. That's my absolute favorite thing to do. And if you go to the right beach, you can see sea turtles and like I saw barracuda out there one time. I think I saw the tail of a shark at some point, but like there was also a hammerhead shark on the beach while we were there. I didn't get to see it, but I saw a video of it, like 2 meters long, just literally on the shore of like a super, super busy beach. So crazy times.
When we got back from our charter, as we were coming in, like they leave the boat out in the bay almost, and then they catch like a little smaller boat back to shore. So we got back to shore. I don't know whether you saw the Instagram story that I was putting up, but there was these giant, like I'm talking giant stingrays. They were huge. If you put your hands out to the side and then add some to it, these things were massive. And like they would come up. I've got to put the video up again because it's just like blows my mind how big these things are. They would come up to like almost towards your feet. And like, we're just stepping back. We're not getting anywhere close to them, but they're kind of like they're flapping their, I don't know whether you call it your fin, but they're flapping around and that saying hello. It's just they're so graceful, man. Amazing creatures.
They're just you don't want to get crocodile hunted, but I mean they're so cool. It's weird, like we're getting way off topic now from bands and whatever, but like the way stingrays just kind of like wiggle and then they just fly around the floor and then they can just whip you with the stinger if they want to. They're like little, I don't even know what to call them. They're like little not little actually. They're like giant frisbees that just wiggle and fly.
Yeah. It's they're special animals. I quite like them. Let's move away from the stingrays. Your soccer program, how's that been going? Like, because you've changed it a little bit. Have you changed it again the last couple of weeks since we did a podcast?
I changed. What I did have to change is the website because I don't know. We can talk about ClickFunnels. I don't know if you've used ClickFunnels 1 or ClickFunnels 2, but I upgraded from 1 to 2. I did a free trial for ClickFunnels 2. I'd been using 1, and then my domain transferred over to 2, and then I couldn't get the funnel from 1 to work anymore, but I couldn't import it. So I spent the last like 5 days or a week or so just like remaking the entire website in ClickFunnels 2. So that's what, if somebody would have clicked on the football framework link 10 days ago versus they clicked on it 5 days ago, you would notice that it's a very different link now. And then it's going to be a very different link in like a day or two again. So that's been changing. I haven't changed the program much recently. Filling out some more guides for conditioning and technical work and all of that to upload and add on there, but the actual programming hasn't changed that much. The programming is pretty solid for what it is right now. I'm going to flip out a couple exercises in some of the more advanced programs, but it is what it is. It's a good program in my eyes.
Yeah, and you're unbiased eyes. I've got Zach doing...
entirely unbiased.
Yeah. I've got Zach Horsey doing a lot of stuff that we're working together on the ClickFunnels stuff, and he was saying that ClickFunnels 2 has been a little bit of a pain in the butt because they're making it hard to... So like the program is done, the 6-week soccer body program is done, which is great. It's just now it's making it difficult to like get it out and going from like kind of unseen to live, like getting it live has been a bit of a challenge on ClickFunnels 2.0. And so what's nice is that because I have like, we're working together, and Zach, this is something that Zach really wants to be able to offer to people, and he is offering at the moment to help people get their product online. So follow Zach Horsey on Instagram. I think it's just at Zach Horsey, and he is the athletic marketing pro. Not on Instagram. That's what his business is. But he's going through all the troubles pretty much for me, because if I was to have done this, there is no way in the world that I would be able to do this by myself. I'm not even kidding you. That's no joke, because and this is where like I truly believe that if you can find someone like I've found Zach, and I'm working with Zach, and he's offered this product and this way of doing things for me, it is so worth paying for it instead of doing it yourself sometimes, because I don't have enough stuff in my like storage in my brain left between coaching, between training and becoming a father. There's not much room left in my brain. I know that's only 3 things, but then there's all the other stuff as well that comes with it. Like, yeah, I would struggle big time. And if I got to the end of it and ClickFunnels 2.0 didn't work, and it wouldn't let me take payments, or it wouldn't let me go live, or it wouldn't let me do anything like that, I would chuck it in the bin and just be like, no, I spent so much time on this. I just can't make it work. Like, I'm not even kidding you. I'm not kidding you. So if you struggle and you think you've got an awesome product, you want to get it online, find someone like Zach, because or if you've got any tips or any tricks, your magical generation, as they always do, can you let people know what do they have to look out for? What can they do? What can't they do? What shouldn't they do? What's the best thing for them?
Just keep doing it until you get it right. To be honest, I just about snapped my. I was doing it all on my iPad. I just about snapped my iPad 3 or 4 times. It was pissing me off so bad. And then eventually I figured out what was going on, and so this is what I just about drove to Idaho and had to have a word with Russell Brunson or something because it was pissing me off so bad. So I was editing my page. I was editing the page, and then I would hit preview, and then the page would look like I was editing it. I was like, cool, awesome. And then I would go open a new tab, and then I would go to the web page, which was live, and it would look like the page from 3 days ago. And I could not get it to update for anything. And it was pissing me off so bad. Like I spent like a day trying to get it to work. And apparently I realized it just doesn't work on my iPad like that for some reason. Computer is fine, phone is fine, everybody else's everything is fine. It just wouldn't work if I tried to open the page up. That was bad. That took me a long time to. And then it was like you could like relearn how everything works, and some things aren't available yet. Like here's the. I didn't even make a funnel in there. To be fair, I just made like I made a full website. Like it's a homepage. You can sign up, apply for in-person training, equipment list, like articles, all of that. It's like this isn't even a funnel anymore. It's just I just built a website and I don't have a funnel at this point. So I have no idea where I stand with it right now, but what I'm realizing is that I just need a website and then just to spend more time on sales. Like I was listening to it's Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson, who's like brilliant guy. And like he's made the case for it. I think Alex Hormozi's less directly maybe. And other people have made the case like just stop spending so much time on ancillary tasks and just like try and sell your product more. Like, and we've mentioned this before in the past, but like if you have a product you want to get out there, like I've made the mistake of rewriting a soccer program like 15 or 20 times, thinking like I have to get it perfect for the first person. And it's like, do you really even know what people actually want out there? Like your vision and my vision is pretty clouded now on what like a current soccer player would want out of an online program. So like just write a program and then get feedback on it. Like spend more time selling. Like I spent so long like creating a business, like building a website, building a funnel, building a new website, trying different programs, like trying different training apps. Like should have spent more time selling.
Yeah, so the product, and I can completely understand the way that you're talking when you've got like you want to make it perfect, but then you also want to make sure that it's out there, because if it's not out there, it can't sell. You can't make anything from it if it's not selling. So and I'm sure the same thing is for you. You know, like there's hours and hours and hours of content, but then there's hours and hours and hours of even more time spent trying to get the content to work. Like I've since going online, I have a newfound appreciation for people who deliver online content, because it's not just the hours of content that's available. It is the 2 times, 3 times, 4 times the amount of time that you spend trying to get the shit to work, trying to figure out why it's not working, trying to get the microphone to work, trying to get the camera to work, trying to get the camera to. It's like I reckon I spent over double or triple the time for the amount of content that's available. And it's still like, it's a lot of content that's on there for the 6 weeks that I've got it. But man, it's a long time. Like you spend a long, long time doing a lot of that sort of stuff. And I guess now you appreciate it more. And then that's why you value yourself more too, because you're spending all this time creating this product and putting it out there. Like you can understand why certain products are, X amount for them, because there's a lot of time that's gone into it. Not just the time that you see.
Yeah. I mean, I've had videos that I've spent like 6 or 8 hours on that like I finished editing and was entirely ready. And this was like the introduction video for the program. And I decided I don't really like it. So that's just like 8 hours down the drain, like of a lot of work. And I've got the amount of videos I've got like that, like not necessarily, they're not all like funnel and sales videos. They're mainly like reels or YouTube videos or whatever. Like I probably have 40 hours plus of like things that I made and finished. Sometimes I didn't finish it. Sometimes I just filmed it. Sometimes I partially edited it. Sometimes I fully edited it. And I was like, not a big fan of this. And then it just, nothing ever happens with it. Which is there was a post from Gary V that I saw the other day. It was like, posting is testing of what works. So I think I probably should stop doing that now and just post everything. And if it's like, unless it's really stupid, but I think I should just start posting more, even if I don't like it as much. I don't know if you feel the same way, but like, I mean, if it doesn't do that, as long as it's not counter to what I'm trying to do, then.
Yeah, man. Like, you don't know. You think that you know what it's going to sound like, but you don't know. Like you said about the recordings that you do, you're trying to do it based upon what you think you will like, but there's not many people like you out there that like the way that your content is. And I agree, but I don't do that because I want it to be perfect. And even when I put it out, it's still not perfect. Like I've had inboxes and messages from people saying like, who are helping, who are trying to help me, which I'm very thankful and grateful for. And it's like, it takes too long to get to the message. By the time it's hit a second or 2 seconds, no, I'm out swiping. I don't want to view the whole thing. And it's like, yeah, like you think you're doing something that's cool, but then you're missing out on a lot of other things as well. So I completely understand how you're feeling. It's just it is a trial. It is always a trial and error. Like you just got to try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you don't know until you do the thing. Like you got to do the thing to be able to know if it works or not. You can't just think in your head, oh, this would be cool if it works, or this won't work. You could put it out and it could blow up, or you could put it out and it could absolutely stink. But you don't know until you know. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point in time, I have a pretty solid idea of whether something's gonna stink or it's gonna do well. Like it's generally I understand, but it's also like, I mean, you look at some people that have 750,000 followers on Instagram and get like 40,000 views on a video, and then it's like it kind of makes you think, but then you realize that views are what's count. Views and active traffic is what counts versus the follower count. So then it's like, does it matter that much? Is it better to be at 300,000 and have 300,000 views a reel than 750,000 and have 50,000 a reel? Like it's then ads come into the play and it's like, oh, 750,000 is a proof of sort of knowledge in a sense. But it's also you get less organic traffic. There's a lot, I don't know. Now we're getting into the weeds here, but it is really all of that traffic stuff, like with how people come in is interesting.
Okay, so with your Instagram, with your brand, what is your main focus, your main goal?
I mean, like, it really is just to give people good information.
Is it to have more followers and like you want to have more followers, or is it just for that, just to give people more information, good quality information, great information?
I mean, the goal always has to be one reel at a time for me. Like each reel post, whatever that's made, has to be as informative as possible, packaged in the most digestible way possible. So I could make an hour-long video that would be super, super informative, but like 11 people would see it. And then like 2 of them would take action on it. Versus to make a 45-second reel that has like way, way, way less information, but 100,000, 500,000, whatever people see it, and then maybe 100,000, 40,000, whatever out of those take some sort of action on it, and then you do the first one 100 times, you make 100-hour-long videos, and you've helped like 80 people, versus you make 145-second videos, and maybe you've helped 300,000 people in some way, and you've helped 25,000 people in some really significant way because they keep piling on all the videos you make. So it's as much information possible in as digestible of a way as possible, each reel, and then whatever happens with followers happens.
Yeah. So you're not concerned with followers. You're more so concerned with the views that you're getting from people. Yeah.
Yeah, generally, like it's not that it's like I'm not sitting there thinking like I need to structure every one of my reels so that they'll go viral. I would make my reels differently then at that point, but it's like there's a balance between some of them would go viral and is like sort of helpful, but I don't know. I mean, if you start losing followers, it generally means that what you're doing is either not digestible, or people don't care, or you're doing something wrong. If you're gaining followers, you're either packaging it really well or you have really good information, or both. So followers is kind of like a lagging indicator of how well your content is doing.
Why do you do what you do?
Because there's a lot of bad information out there. Like I tried to take in as much as I could when I was playing, and it ended me up where I got. So it's like I mean that really is how I come up with ideas now. It's like just sit there like, all right, if I was gonna make a video on something that I would have wanted myself to see 10 years ago, what would it be? All right, cool. We're making a video on this now. I mean, that's basically my entire creative process right now. And then once I have an idea, writing a script is easy at this point. And I film it, and if I like it, I post it. If not, I don't post it, which has been happening a little bit more recently. But yeah, I mean, that's it, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think that you're being too hard on yourself on what you're creating, that you don't think that it's good enough, or it's just that you think you can do better?
It's like, I mean, to be honest, I mean, to be fair, it's better than most. Like, there's like a tenth of a percent of people that make unbelievable amounts of really, really great content. And then there's people like below that make a lot of content that is really, you guys make a lesser amount of really good content, or a lot of content that's just not quite as good. And then there's everybody else. So like, I think most of my content ends up in that second one, whether I post it or not. But then it's like, to be fair, I probably should just post it. Like it's whatever, but I get my own way a little bit with that sometimes. Like I posted a couple last week that after reconsidering, it was like, I don't know about that. So I took them both down, and it's the way it is.
It's like, I guess it is like ultimately you're the only person that is going to be able to truly criticize your own work, because it's your own work. Like you can have feedback from people, which is like what I was speaking about before. But I think that if it's your own work that you're doing, you get your own feedback from you. Like, I don't like this at all. It kind of, I guess it kind of is the way that you want to view, like want to see your videos and like how you see them. If you like it, then you should put it. If you don't like it, then don't put it out. But I think now also when you have such a following like you do, you have, over 100 and something thousand people following you. There's a big group of people that are looking in on your, I guess, your brand and your product of what you're creating, that I think their opinion probably matters as well, because they're obviously following you for a reason. And if they enjoy that video, like you should put some, or I think anyway, I mean, actually don't listen to me because I don't have 150,000 followers, but you should put something up that maybe makes you feel uncomfortable, that you don't really like, and then see how it trends, because that could be something that people are waiting for, people are looking for. Again, like don't listen to me because I am not as active as what you are, and like do not have the same following as what you have. I have 100th, I think, not even 100th, one something of what you have. So like, but if you maybe that's what's going to help you go to that next level in terms of your product, in terms of your following or your views or whatever, because now you're starting to get into different realms of posting. Again, I don't know. I'm just actively putting it out there to see maybe if that sparks something for you.
Yeah, no, I mean it definitely is like something to try, and I haven't tried it. I have like a pretty narrow lens of things that I post, and then it kind of shifted. Like at the beginning, it was just like general like pain and injury reduction things, and now it's shifted more into footy. But like. I don't post very many different things, and maybe I should. I haven't tried it. Like one of the posts I took down because Keegan messaged me, and it was like, he's like, this is wrong. And it's like, well, it wasn't wrong. It was, I guess I explained it poorly in the video, so it came off differently than I thought it would. So it was one of the ones, it was about tendon length versus stiffness in terms of training, and how I think the distinction I failed to make was that the training that increases tendon length, which generally decreases muscular injury, but is not what creates tendon stiffness that increases your rate of force development and general athletic ability, that those are separate things. But what I didn't make the distinction is that because those are separate, that tendon length and athleticism are separate. There is no negative effect of tendon length on the ability to create stiffness. There's a difference in what trains your ability to create stiffness is different from what trains the length of the fascicles of the tendons and all of the cool collagen stuff. I didn't make that distinction. And again, it's like when you talk about the rate of force development, plyometric, tendon stiffening things, like people already do way too fucking much of that stuff. Like I don't need to be posting about it. Like I'll give you a better option every once in a while. Like I posted a better one today than what most people do. But like it when I look back on it, and it's like, if I would have saw this when I was younger, I would have been like, oh, well, like I don't care about, like I'm fairly indestructible. I don't care about getting hurt. Like I just want to jump higher and run faster. And it's like, pump the brakes. Like that's it. It's the way I would have thought when I was younger. And I sometimes I say that in videos, like forum videos and things. Like I know that the younger me would have said, screw this dude's recommendation. I'm loading this heavier, or doing it faster or something. So I'll say, like, I know the younger me would totally neglect this information, but don't. And whether that works or not, I don't know. But it's that's one of the reasons I had to go back on it, because sometimes I don't think about how other people view it. I just think about what I want people to get out of it. I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah, of course. I've we've been doing podcasts long enough that now I know how you speak. Maybe not for everyone else that's listening. It might be a little bit, but if you want that explained a little better, I'm sure that Matt would be happy to explain it for you. Yeah, I completely get it, man.
It might just take a few times, but.
But then that's how you get better at creating your content, though, is it not? You're putting stuff out there which you think is great. And that's why it's great to have people like Keegan, too, because people like Keegan, they don't come from a place of negativity where it's like, no, this is wrong, this is crap, you're shit, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like, this is incorrect, do better. How can you do better? Like, I know that's where he's coming from. We both know that's where he's coming from too. It's just like, he obviously knows that you can do better. And the same goes with me. You know, there's been a couple of times that that's happened too. So it's like, he obviously knows that I can do better. So you need those people in your life. You don't have those people in your life, how are you going to be able to actually improve on anything? Oh no, good job, pat on the back, well done, that's awesome. I'm not getting any results. No, still well done, good job, keep going. Like, no, you need people that are going to tell you how it is. If you don't have people like that in your life, then the people that you have right now are just hanging around just because. Like, there's no reason why that they're there. If they're there to help you be able to achieve something or get into a place, and they're kind of, you know, beating around the bush, saying, no, well done, like, you know, that's awesome, keep doing it. You need people like that too. I'm not saying that you don't, but you need people, if you want to get places in life, they're going to push you outside your comfort zone and tell you that is incorrect when it is incorrect. Not trying to, like, that was me. It was me 6 months ago, you know, like, sit on the fence. That's good, but that's good. Like, no, it's either it's good or it's either true or it's false. There's no good or bad. It's either true or false. Like, and whatever your truth is, it depends. Like, because your truth is different to my truth. I might view something as being true. You might view something as not being true or good. Sorry, good or bad is what I mean. You might think it's good, or I might think it's bad. The same thing. Here I go stuffing this up. We should just cut that bit and start again. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back and start again. When you've got things that you view as being good or bad, there is no such thing. There's no such thing as good or bad. There's only true or nothing at all, or not true. Because when you think of things as being good or bad, that's your opinion or your perception on the matter. Whereas for you, what's good and what's bad might be the complete opposite for me. So it's like, well, what is true? What is true information? It's hard to get true quality information now. So to be able to have people who can be on your side, be on your team, and say, no, this is incorrect. Factually, it's not true, or it doesn't sound like it's true to me. And they can help push you in a direction where you're actually going to be able to either explain the truth or experience the truth, you know, because so many people are stuck in what's right or wrong. We could go for another 6 hours on this. I think that's a topic for another time. But when you've got people who are saying like, no, this is right, this is wrong. It's like, no, you can't. You cannot have what's right and what's wrong. It doesn't exist. It might exist in your delusional world where it's like, no, this is the right thing to do, and you can't say that. And it's like, no, there is only truth. What is true? You can't have good or bad, right or wrong. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. So if you've gotten this far in the podcast and you listen to this, take a deep dive on that, because you'll realize very, very quickly when you can understand other people's perceptions and the way that other people think, the way that they think, and they say something, it's like, well, this to me is right. So it's like with a lot of things, what a lot of people view. We can get completely off strength training now and talk about other things. People think that that's right. You might think that something's right, but then you've got someone else saying, no, that's not the right thing to do. It's not right. Well, why isn't it right? Because I'm saying it's not right? Because I'm saying it's wrong? No, because, well, yes, because you have right and wrong. You can't express that. I'm struggling to express it now. Like I know that it's something challenging for me to express, because I'm going through this phase of my life, like where there's truth and then there's nothing. It's not true. Like the good and bad. I think I've butchered that really, really, really well. If you understood any of that, you can let me know. So yeah, did that make any sense?
I pieced it together, especially because when I say things, it's even harder to understand. But I pieced it together. That's like, it's to bring it back to social media. There's nobody who is more annoying and more lame and gets less followers than somebody who comments on all the posts and they're like, well, we actually don't have any evidence to support this. And then, like, that's the whole comment. And you're like, do you have any evidence against it? They're like, no, we just don't have anything conclusive. It's like, shut up. Shut up. You don't have any recommendations. You're just stating that the studies go neither way. Like, who cares? Like, yeah, or the people that post, they're like, this study has shown that there is a possible chance that it might be a little bit better if we do this. So maybe shut up. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
If you find something cool, like, tell me then. Like, yeah, that's great. But like, don't tell me if there's no evidence for or against something. Like, if everything is neutral, then like, either it doesn't work or it does. And this is another, we get into another 6 hours on of like, yeah, your study didn't work on somebody's 75-year-old grandma. Like, what makes you think it's not going to work on Olympic sprinters? Like, that's like saying something works on a mouse, so it's going to work on a dog. Like, it's entirely different. And within that, there's so many factors. Like, you see these studies where it's like, this strength training didn't work for that. It's like, cool, you're doing half squats and leg presses. Like, what makes you think that's going to work? That's stupid. You're like, squats didn't help your knee pain or something. And it's like, yeah, because you're not even getting powerlifting deep. Like, shut up. I know that's, as much as I love the literature, it's like some of these guys just suck at writing programs. Like, you have no idea. Like, this probably would have worked if you would have written something reasonable. Or had good subject. I don't know. Yeah.
Just breathe, man. Just breathe. Just relax. It's okay. It's okay.
I've taken 2 breaths through this podcast.
Oh, let's take another deep breath. All right, let's leave it there for today. You can go and get your breath work done. Go get your Wim Hof or whatever it is that you do. Go get it done. Go breathing. Where can everyone find you, Matty? Find you to put a comment
before use up everybody's oxygen.
Where they can find you to write a very annoying comment.
Yeah, if that's the other thing, this is even worse. When somebody comments, it's not soccer, it's football, or it's not football, it's soccer. Like, I have the unfathomable urge to just block you. I don't care what you call it. Why do you care what I call it? I want to block everybody who does that so badly. Report them for whatever. That is the number one thing I hate. Besides standing hip flexor band drills. But yeah, if you want to send me a message on any of these things, Sport Performance, SKAAR Performance, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, any of the platforms, whatever. Or you can shoot me an email. There's my email somewhere. But where can everybody send you really fun messages, Stef?
You can just catch me at Instagram. So Coach Carly with the 3 eyes. Send through your most outrageous comments and messages and whatever you got, and I'll forward them straight through the Matt, because he can't block me. Well, he can, or he might want to. I don't know. Maybe after this he might want to. I don't know. So if you do get blocked by Matt, send it through to me, and I'll send it through to Matt and say, hey, this person says this, and then it'll just fire him up for the next podcast even more. So Coach Carly with the 3 eyes, and if you want to email me, info@coachcarly.com.au. Keep your eyes peeled for the 6-week Soccer Body program that's coming out. There's plenty of content, hours and hours and hours of content in there. It's a 6-week program. It'll be happening really, really soon. Just got to get the funnels working. Once the funnels are ready to go, ClickFunnels 2.0. If you listen to this, if Russell Brunson magically listens to this, maybe we should give him some feedback. What do you say, Matt? I reckon we should give him some feedback. Sort out ClickFunnels 2.0.
Yeah, and finish the damn thing.
All right, everyone.
Why did you give me on a free trial if it's not done yet?
Matt's going to lose it. We don't want to record any more of this. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.